Hey dudes, I'm Hilah, and today on Hilah Cooking, I'm going to show you how to make a kale pesto to put on pasta. So this kale pesto is a great recipe to have in your pocket when it's cold out, it's wintry, basil's not in season, and if you do find it, it's like super expensive because kale's cheap and parsley's cheap, and we're going to mix it together and make a great quick sauce for your pasta. Well, howdy do! Now besides the kale, I've got a couple other slightly unusual ingredients that I'm going to put in here. I'm going to use some toasted pecans instead of pine nuts. Pecans are a little bit cheaper maybe, but I just love the sweetness that they add with the kale. So I just toasted those in a dry skillet for a couple minutes until they're kind of nutty. I've got a couple cloves of garlic, and then I'm going to put in my kale first. And this is what it means when you see stuff like this, when you're measuring leafy greens and it says like 1 packed cup, that just means you need to like actually press down on it and keep mashing it in there until it's full. And then when you're not mashing it, it looks like more than a cup, but that's what you want. So we'll put that in here. And I removed the stems and washed it, obviously, and kind of tore it up into little pieces. Okay, so I'm gonna get this going a little bit, a little zhizh, to get it sort of chopped up with my little mini chopper here. You could use a food processor. Some blenders will do a good job. You could even just chop it all up by hand if you want to, do it all caveman style. Okay, and once it's sort of roughly chopped like that, you can see it, kale's pretty small and the nuts are small. We're gonna add in, oh, it smells awesome already, that garlic. We're gonna add in our parsley, and again, I've just pulled the stems off. This is a 1/2 cup packed, and some Parmesan cheese. If you wanted to make this vegan, you could use some marinated artichoke hearts. That would add good texture and a lot of flavor too. And then a little bit of lemon juice, and you don't normally see this in basil pestos, but it kind of counteracts the slight bitterness of the kale. Just maybe a teaspoon or so. I'm gonna keep zhuzhing this around. And then we can start adding in some olive oil. Some recipes will call for as much as like a cup of olive oil. To me, I think that's a little bit excessive, but you do want enough so that it actually makes a sauce that will coat your pasta. So I'm gonna start with like 1/3 of a cup. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Totally can't see what's going on in there, so that's like the worst eyeballing job I've ever done, but we'll start with that amount. Okay, definitely need some more. Let's go for another 1/4 cup. This is looking really, really good. And add a little bit of salt, not a whole lot because that Parmesan is providing most of our salt. And another little glug of olive oil. If you wanted to make it kind of lower fat, you could add some water instead. It won't have quite the same texture, but if you're really watching your calories, then it might be a good option for you. Yeah, and this little chopper thing is really cool. I've never had one before, but I use it a lot. Okay, that looks good to me. Again, the oil is, if you wanted to add more oil, you could, but I like it sort of this thick paste that will cling to the pasta without having like a whole layer of oil floating on top. So I'm gonna set that aside and cook my pasta because I hear my water boiling. Okay, my pasta's cooked. Before I drained it, I used my measuring cup to just dip out about 1/2 cup of the pasta cooking liquid in case we need it to make the sauce kind of cling a little bit better. And I think for this, I'm just gonna start out with about half this pesto that I made. And pesto can totally be frozen. If you, in the summer, it's a good thing to remember with the basil pesto especially, you can put it in a little airtight container and then just float, 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch of olive oil on top of it and freeze that, and it's great. It really keeps all that fresh flavor all summer long. That hot pasta is melting the cheese and making a nice, rich sauce. I'll add a little bit more of this hot water. Nice. Beautiful. Look at that. Oh, I'm so happy with this. I love making pestos, and I love finding new things to do with kale. So I'm gonna be a filthy germer get my germs all in this, but this whole bowl's for me, so it's okay. If you like this recipe, check out my kale salad recipe. It's another great use for kale. And I also have a quinoa salad recipe that you might enjoy. And please remember to subscribe so you always get notified when I release a new video. And printable recipes are always available at HilahCooking.com. Culinary genius. All right, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you like.